Thank you for coming in to give your presentation
You're
on
welcome.
Amazon Web Services and just Amazon in general, their business culture. Briefly describe what your presentation was about to us, please.
So my presentation was on Amazon's culture of innovation. We've been asked numerous times, you're such a large organization, how do you continue to innovate like a startup? And that's what my presentation was about today.
Within it, you talked about your role. Can you tell us just a little bit about what you do with Amazon?
At Amazon, my role is focused on workforce development. So what I do is I help develop the future workforce, which is students, and I help develop the current workforce to make sure that they have the skills for the jobs of the future.
Because you said you noticed there's a gap between students coming out of universities and then going into the workforce. There's a gap, and you're helping to bridge that gap.
So a big part of my role is also to provide thought leadership on that skills gap and to talk about how different academic institutions or different organizations are bridging that gap. So the different programs out there, the different initiatives that help bridge that gap.
So that brings me to the next one about the innovation of culture within Amazon, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The way that Amazon organizes for innovation is essentially in 4 ways. So first of all, we have our mechanisms. Then we have the architecture that enables that. We have our culture, and then we have our organization itself. So each one of these pillars articulates a different way, something that needs to be in place to foster innovation.
Can you briefly explain the following leadership principle, working backwards, 2 pizza teams? What are those?
So working backwards is essentially the way that all initiatives begin at Amazon. Working backwards essentially means starting with the customer first. So really having the customer be a part of the building process of what you're trying to build and what you're trying to deliver. So really have the customer's thoughts in mind, have the customer's input on what you're trying to build.
2 pizza teams, what can you tell us about that?
So 2 pizza teams is a very interesting concept. Essentially, it's referring to being able to feed your team with 2 pizzas. And a team should not be so big that you cannot feed it with 2 pizzas. And that is a way of giving accountability and authority to each and every individual on the team to be able to innovate and to be able to make a difference.
So keeping the team short, small, keeping them agile, and feeding them with 2 pizzas essentially, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What advice can you give to the young professionals out there that either don't know about supply chain or just are trying to get into the workforce within supply chain?
I think I've got to refer back to one of the leadership principles that I discussed today, which is learn and be curious. I think it's really important to continuously be learning, especially nowadays. Things are changing at a very fast pace, and it's really important to keep yourself up to date with the skills that are out there. So continue to learn, continue to be experts in your domain, and never let that stop.
Speaking about learning, how did you come across Apics in general?
I was looking online for an organization that stood for something, an organization that had good presence, an organization that could help me better understand the supply chain field. And it was hands down, Apics was definitely the organization that I felt would be able to provide me with that information. And hence, I'm now a member.
That's wonderful. Well, Apics is certainly glad to have you join and to be able to give such an inspirational and educational piece of presentation. And with that, I'm going to leave that interview. Anything is possible. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.